I survived 100 days in Project Zomboid, starting from day 1. I spawned in the town of Rosewood, completely naked and nothing to my name, except some trousers. It's dark in here. I crouch down and make my way to the kitchen where I pick up some canned food, a chocolate bar, and a can opener. I eat all of the fresh food in the fridge, because if not, all of it would eventually spoil and leave me with nothing. I continue looting the other rooms before turning the TV on and setting the channel to Life and Living. It's a cooking show, and while not really that useful, it's still a free skill point. I sneak my way down to the basement, which is a new addition in Build 42. Down here, I didn't really find anything useful apart from a soda bottle, which I just chugged down and filled up with water. Now, to have a good start to the challenge, I needed a plan. Firstly, I need water. This is a really easy step and just requires some empty bottles and a sink. Step 2 would be getting food, which is also really easy, as you can find enormous amounts of food really early on. But the 4th and 5th step are a bit harder, but I'll get to them later. I make my way outside and have a good look at my surrounding area, and instantly spot a small group of zombies. But I got interrupted by a lone zombie, which I easily killed. I steal the zombie's sneakers and clothing and pick up a simple watch. I check out the garage and find some ammunition and a hammer. Then I make my way to the neighboring home, and not expecting some zombies here, I kind of freak out and just flop on the ground. Yeah, not my proudest moment. Luckily, the zombies didn't react in time and I got away safely this time. I kill off the 2 zombies with the hammer that I found and loot the small supply shack nearby. All of this noise did end up attracting some attention, but this turned out to be a blessing since one of the zombies was carrying a duffel bag. That's just what I needed. I put all of my loot in the duffel bag and I kid you not, the first thing that I see when I jump in is a freaking baseball bat. This is all too good to be true. First off the duffel bag and now the baseball bat, I'm getting seriously lucky here. And with my newly found bat, I naturally wanted to test it out. Everything seemed to be great at the start, but I quickly got overwhelmed. And with me being exhausted, I just couldn't fight all of them and had to run away to a house nearby. I need to be more careful. I washed my clothes and with zombies breaking in, I got out of there as fast as possible. I ran across the street to a nearby home and had a quick rest. But obviously, it just had to get interrupted. Because I was tired and still exhausted, I couldn't just fight the zombies normally. I had to lure them and use the fence strat to kill them off. But the plan wasn't flawless and I ended up with a scratched shin. I bandaged the scratch and continued looting the house. Upstairs, I actually found a gun case, and inside was a shotgun and a couple of shotgun shell boxes. Now, I won't be using guns for a little while, but this is still a great find, especially because shotguns are by far the easiest way to level up aiming early on. But for now, I just took the shotgun shells as to not overload myself. I quickly fill up some water bottles and clean my clothes, before going to sleep to finish day 1. I woke up on day 2 and made my way downstairs, had a quick breakfast, and made my way out the back door. After killing a zombie, I see that my bandage is dirty, and upon taking it off, I realized that the scratch got infected. But like a Chad, I couldn't care less and just tossed on another bandage and continued my day. While looting some garages, I found an empty gas can, which is the last item I needed to get fuel and complete the 3rd step of my perfect start plan. I also put on some elbow and knee pads, which I always forget to put on. I break into another home in search of some extra tools or melee weapons, but most importantly, a bottle of disinfectant. Sadly, I didn't find any of those, but I did find some sleeping pills and another gun, which I didn't end up taking. And here's a quick overview of my skills if you're interested. Yeah, they're not the best. I find some ammunition and a very interesting journal. The moment I put that journal in my inventory, I knew what I had to do. I make my way outside and have a good look at the surrounding area. And to no one's surprise, there is a bunch of zombies everywhere. So not wanting to deal with all of them, I just snuck past. And in the distance, I saw a massive truck. I hotwired the truck and luckily it had some fuel left. And this was step 4 of the perfect start, with the final step being getting a generator, but that's for later. I wanted to check out the nearby cars for leftover fuel, but there were some zombies surrounding the cars, so I had to deal with them. While fighting the zombies, I did get a skill point in maintenance, but the real prize was that sweet fuel. And there was a lot of it, enough to completely fill up my newly found truck. My impressive driving skills did catch the attention of some zombies, and with me starting to get tired, this can become a real problem real fast. But on the floor, I saw what I wanted, an M16. But trying to get it was a real problem. I couldn't kill the zombies because of my fatigue. So I did the only logical solution. Anyways, I got the loot and stored all of my belongings in the trunk before having a snack and looting another house. In the basement, I found a trolley and a firefighter axe. In my opinion, axes are the best melee weapons in all of Zomboid. There is nothing more satisfying than one-shotting zombies with an axe. Also, are we in America? Why is there a gun in every house? Oh wait, never mind, everything's normal. I also find a big hiking backpack, which is better than the duffel bag I have. At this point, I could pass out at any time, so I unequip the trolley and go to sleep. But before I continue to day 3, here's a quick word from this video sponsor. Do you want to make your own Project Zomboid server for you and your friends? Then you should check out this video sponsor, Pine Hosting. Pine Hosting makes setting up a Project Zomboid server fast and simple. You can create a server in just a few minutes. Their panel is easy to use and they offer high performance for a great price, with global locations and full DDoS protection. They also have a built-in workshop installer, so adding mods is straightforward. And if you're coming from another host, they can help you transfer your server over without any hassle. They host more than just Project Zomboid, games like Minecraft, Rust, and more. You can get 30% off your first month by using the code ZiubisPZ and using the link in the description. And thank you Pine Hosting for sponsoring this video. After a good night's sleep, I wake up and instantly head downstairs to put all of the loot in the trunk. I also mark the houses I have looted with an X, which is surprisingly annoying to do. And to start off the day right, I just had to kill some zombies. With my endurance being so low, I couldn't continue fighting anymore. I had to take a break. I eat some food and fill my water bottles before heading down to the basement, where I found an enormous amount of ammunition. This was amazing. Being a loot goblin, I just had to take all of it. 2 days later, and finally the scratch that was infected healed. Inside a garage, I found a bike and took it out for a spin. This is definitely one of my favorite mods. The neighboring house did have some company, so I had to deal with them real quick before eating some freshly cooked steak. And while searching the top floor, I did find some sus things in the wardrobe. This will fit perfectly combined with the magazine that I found. I even found more in the nightstand before heading to sleep. I wake up early in day 4, and I think it's time you meet the person surviving the 100 days. This is Darius Nolan, a burglar with a funny weight. And little did I know that that fast metabolism trait is going to cause me so much trouble later on. But apart from that, Darius is a force to be reckoned with. After having a leftover steak for breakfast, I went out again to loot some neighboring homes. I'm not gonna bore you with the looting as I didn't find anything significant, apart from another one of those ammunition basements. I put everything in the truck and make my way to the police station in search of some guns. But of course, it won't be that simple. I'll have to fight for it. That was disappointing. I had to retreat because my flippin' truck wouldn't start. This very easily could have been the end of Darius and this whole perfect start thing I had going on. But for now, I'll be safe in the fire station. I need to use this time to eat, rest, and think of a plan on how to get my truck back. But that's a plan for tomorrow. In the morning of day 5, I start off by looting the fire station for some extra fire axes and loot, before grabbing a car and heading back to the police station. And this time, I came prepared. The amazing driving skills shine again as I ram the car into a motorcycle, which sets off an alarm, attracting zombies to my location. And that location happens to be right near my flipping truck, so I had to spend the next 5 minutes just driving over zombies and making sure I can actually get back to my truck safely. In the end, I killed all of the zombies and safely returned to my truck. And I can finally loot the armory in the police station, which is exactly what I do on day 6. It's 2 AM and I still haven't slept. I'm already tired and in pain, but I couldn't go back just yet. I had to loot the armory first. Inside there was the usual, some guns and ammunition, and I was going to need a lot of ammunition if I wanted to train the aiming skill. I was so tired at this point that I was going to pass out, and just at the time that I went to sleep, the helicopter event started. Great. Luckily, I cleared out the zombies before, so no one came. My next stop was the school, since I needed some skill books. Because of the zombies, I couldn't park near the school, so I made my way to the residential home where I got jump scared by a stupid zombie stuck in the storage room. At 10, the helicopter event ended and I could actually go to the school. The final day of the first week began with me making my way into the school in the middle of the night. Nothing unusual for Darius. In the library, I honestly found nothing good, so I make my way to the truck and drive to the Book Naked store. But there was a bit of zombies guarding the place. Nothing to be afraid of, right? I do a big loop and sneak my way into the store. Unfortunately, the luck hasn't changed. I found absolutely nothing that I need. Just some odd books here and there. I decided to go to the Rosewood medical building. With my terrible playstyle, I was going to need as much medical supplies as I can get. But I kinda got distracted and ended up in some underground bowling alley. My lack of sleep was starting to catch up, so I quickly loot the area, have a snack, and finally sleep on the floor. I wake up being very uncomfortable. That was a bad night of sleep. I make my way upstairs and loot the medical area. I was actually low on fuel in the truck, so I drove to the gas station. And surprise Surprisingly, there was almost no zombies here. I refuel the truck and go straight to the basement in search of some gas cans. I need to get as much of them as I can so I can fill all of them up and not have to worry about fuel for a long time. I end up finding a bunch of gas cans and just decided to call it a day and went to sleep. Time for day 8. I do a bit of wandering around and I found a bus. This thing was a monster and it had a lot of storage. Way more than my truck. I fill it up with some gas and transfer all of my items. This did take quite a while, and I finish everything on the start of day 9. I take the trolley and head to the mechanic shop to hopefully find some useful loot. I don't know what loot you guys get here, but personally I never find anything good here. I hop back into the bus and head to the supermarket. There was some zombies here, so I took care of them by just driving them over. Once inside, I took literally everything. I continued doing this on day 10, and once I finished, I went to sleep. My sleep schedule is really messed up. I make my way to the residential area in search of a generator, the last thing I need before I can settle down somewhere. This will take a while. I even found a survivor home. It had ammunition, weapons, and lots of other loot. This day flew by really fast and I was getting tired, so I went to sleep early. On day 11, I start off by looting some homes until I finally found a generator. This finally means that I've completed my perfect start plan, and now I can finally settle down somewhere. And so I decided to leave Rosewood and head to the city of Muldrow. This will be a long journey. On day 12, I make it to Muldrow. Now, I didn't really have an idea where I wanted to set up base, but I saw this cool fire station and decided this would be the perfect base. I kill the zombies and make my way inside. This place is perfect. I tried to drive the bus into the fire station, but the bus was too tall, so I will end up needing to carry all of the loot manually. I explore the station and even find a basement. This place has big potential to become an awesome base. The station even has a gym and a whole second floor with a kitchen and a living room. I start carrying all of the loot over and just dropping it on the ground. Days 13 to 14 were spent carrying items over and dropping them on the ground, eating, and just walking around the base. On day 15, I finally finished. It was a lot of loot, and now I was going to need to sort all of it. This ended up taking the whole of days 16 and 17. I start day 18 by eating some food and washing my clothes. Now, a helicopter event actually happened, but it didn't really do anything. This day was just more about chilling and resting from the previous days, where everything was just chores. Day 19 starts with me going outside to get some wood. There was a big storm going on. I cut the trees and take the logs with me. Inside the base, I go to sleep, since I was really tired. I woke up at about 2. I saw all of the logs. I was actually sawing so much that even my hacksaw broke. On day 20, I actually go to sleep on time. And in the morning, I put on a carpentry VHS and get a skill in carpentry. I'm now level 1 carpentry. If I want to build the simple rain barrels, I was going to need at least level 3. So I disassemble everything for free XP. Little did I know that disassembling doesn't give XP like it used to, which I think is pretty funny. After all of that, I finally go to sleep. On day 21, I wake up and head downstairs. I pick up a trolley and a fire axe, and head outside to chop some trees down. I chopped until all of my stats were in the red. I then picked up as many logs as I could fit in the trolley and dropped them on the ground. I was tired, in pain, and really hungry, so I ate a bunch of food and went to sleep on the couch. On day 22, I wake up early, 2:30 AM to be precise. I wash some of my clothes and fill up my water bottle, before sawing the rest of the logs. Now, it was time. I spam built these tables and wall frames until I leveled up my carpentry. This method was very tiring, so I had to go to sleep. And on day 23, it happened. The power is off. I head down to the basement and break into some sort of storage area, but it didn't really have any good loot. The thing is, I didn't have the How to Use Generators magazine, so I had to go find it. Day 25. I read the generator magazine that I found and connect the generator before pouring in some fuel and turning it on. Now, I finally have power. This will drain my fuel, but I don't think I need to worry about that just yet. I eat some food and have a drink before sitting down and reading the whole Carpentry 2 book. I was almost level 3 carpentry, which would allow me to build the simple rain collectors and become one step closer to being self-sufficient. But I was getting tired, so I went to sleep. On day 26, I start off my morning by eating a bunch of food, before heading downstairs and relocating the generator to a different place, so that I would reach my second floor. I built some more wooden frames and reached carpentry level 3. I grabbed the trolley and start chopping down some trees. The wood that I got, I sawed into planks. But it got really dark and I was tired, so the sawing had to stop. I had a quick rejuicer for my water bottle before heading to sleep. On day 27, I had some breakfast and headed straight back to work, sawing the rest of the remaining logs. Now, I can finally place down the rain collectors. For now, I built a total of 5. It was already raining, so this was perfect timing for me to build them. Now, I don't want all of this carpentry junk in the middle of my compound, so I had to disassemble everything. This carried on to day 28, and at about 9, I decided to take a break and go to sleep. But before that, here's a quick look at Darius' stats if you're interested. Anyways, I wake up really late. This sleep schedule is a nightmare. Day 29, I continue disassembling and finally finished. Now, it's looking clean. Now this is supposed to be my water room, and let's be honest, it looks ugly. So, I need to rebuild it completely, just like many of the other rooms. But for now, I just refill my water dispenser and go to sleep. I woke up on day 30. The first month is almost over. I pick up a welding skill book and read it fully, because my next plan is to seal shut every window from the outside. I finished reading the book on day 31. The final day of the month. I drink some ketchup for breakfast and drive to the nearby warehouse. I was going to loot all of it. I was really tired, so the couple of zombies that were there were tough to kill. So I had to retreat into the nearby bar, and upstairs was a small living area. This is where I slept. I wake up to a zombie right outside my door. I quickly kill him and loot the apartment. Outside there were still some zombies, so after killing them, I headed back to the warehouse. I start looting everything. But it was kinda hard to reach all of the containers in the middle, so I'll have to disassemble all of the containers. But that's a plan for later on. Day 32, the start of a new month. I finished looting some containers before hopping in the bus and driving back to base. I quickly refreshed myself by drinking some water and eating, before carrying over all of the goodies that I found and dropping them on the ground. After that, I just went to sleep. I start day 33 by taking some welding torches and adding metal sheets to windows for protection. I didn't have enough metal sheets for now, so I just decided to barricade the remaining windows with wood. It's not the prettiest combo, but it works. And today, I will finally start making my water storage room. I firstly disassemble everything I can in the room, and then build some simple storage boxes and 3 tables. And this is how the room looks. Personally, I really like it. But this is only one room done. There is still a lot to do. The next room I'm working on is the tool item storage area. Just like before, I firstly disassemble everything and carry out all of the junk items. On day 32, I start building the storage containers. And this is how it looked like in the end. I start organizing the items. And on day 35, I do some more sorting before going to sleep. I start day 36 by having some breakfast. I then move one of the rain collectors above a sink so that I could have running water. And it worked. On day 37, I make my way to the nearby bar and loot everything that I could. I also organize some things in the kitchen before heading to sleep. On day 38, I do some simple tidying up in the base, like disassembling some shelves to make more space, and carrying down all of the food I have to the so-called garage area. On day 39, I continue doing this until I finally finished and went to sleep. On day 40, I wake up and hop on my bicycle. I want to get some sacks of dirt from my farm on the roof. Little did I know this was not going to work, even though I had the farm indoors mod. I dump all of the dirt on the roof, and even though it looks good, like I said, I can't plant anything here. So I just decided to dig a simple farm just outside my base. I plant a bunch of herbs, vegetables, and more before having a well-deserved rest. Day 41 was very boring. All I did was just read books. I finished reading on day 42. I noticed the light went off, so I had to refill the generator. Now, I know these days might be boring, but they are essential to have a good foundation for survival. And in a couple of days, I will go on a complete killing montage. But to see that, you'll have to watch till the end. Anyways, I finished day 42 by going to sleep. Day 43, I read books again. Day 44, I read more. Day 45. I finally stop reading and go to my next torture method, practicing reloading. Day 46, I practice reloading. Day 47, oh my god, I'm still doing reloading. Day 48, I finally do something different. I work out. I do this until I'm too tired to continue and go to sleep. On day 49, I head outside to do a supply run, and I actually loot a bunch of houses. I looted until I was too tired to continue and went to sleep in some random house. Day 50, the halfway point in this challenge. I continue looting the houses and disassembling any electronics I see to get some electrical skill. I even go to shops and restaurants to disassemble there, and yet again, I sleep in some random house. On day 51, I find a appliance store or something like that, and I really wanted to disassemble stuff in there, but the place was guarded by zombies. So for now, I just went back home, but I will return. I go into my weapon storage room and pick out a gun and ammo, and then I just go to sleep. Day 52, this is the day. I hop in a car and head back to the store in the early morning. And let's just say for a couple of days, I had some fun. That was a lot of killing. I finally get in the store and disassemble the electrical stuff. I head home and just have a quick meal and rest. I also boil all of the tainted water I had to save cleaning drinking water. Day 54. I continue with my water shenanigans and decided to move all of the rain collectors so that they can be connected to the sink. Day 55. If you're interested, here's a quick look at Darius's stats. And for the rest of the day, I just moved and cleaned some things up. On day 56, I head outside. I loot the remaining liquor bottles in the barn and head to the warehouse to disassemble every crate. Day 57, I'm still disassembling. Day 58, I finish the middle row and pick out the loot I want and put it in the trolley. Day 59, I head back home and have a nice breakfast. This doesn't mean I'm done disassembling. I even found an antique oven in one of the crates. On day 60, I finish disassembling every crate in the warehouse. I go back home and drive back with my bus where I will store all of my loot. So I just picked up items and put them in the bus. Day 61, I eat Armory for breakfast and continue packing things into the bus. I also carried over an antique oven into the base, and just before the day ends, I drive the bus back to base and go to sleep. Day 62, I start disassembling some sort of washroom. This will become my armory, and right beside it will be my raw material storage area. But this will take some time to build, so I had to sleep. And on day 63, I hop in a really scuffed car and drive to the city to do some looting. There was still a lot of zombies here, and I will have to clear them out later. But the real reason I went out looting is to get some bleach and cleaning materials, since the soon-to-be armory room was pretty dirty. So after finding the goodies in the bank's supply closet, I head back home and start cleaning. Except I don't, because I don't have a mop or broom. Amazing.
So I drive back to the city in search of those 2 items. After looting a couple of houses, I got tired and went to sleep. Day 64. I hop back into the car and drive further down into the city. I park my car in some sort of hotel and loot everything that I could. But of course, with my luck, I found nothing. I continue looting stores and ended up in an elementary school. And in here, I got some good loot. But there was a couple of zombies I had to kill. I break into a car and hotwire it. Lucky for me, it had fuel. At 6, I drove back home. Since I got a broom, I was going to craft a mop. On day 65, I finished crafting the mop and spent the rest of the day looking for bleach that I misplaced. Day 66, I find some bleach in the laundromat and drive back home. Back at base, I started cleaning the supply room and the armory. Day 67. I find out there's a generator indoors at the station, so I turn it on. But before I make the other rooms, I wanted to make a special room first. So I got all of what I needed. And on day 68, I finished my substance room, which I'm really proud of. The next thing I wanted to do was a small library. This didn't take that long and I think it turned out pretty decent. Day 69, I started work on the armory room. I built some tables and crates for storage. The things in the material storage area will be stored on the ground, because I just think it looks cool. This carries on to day 70, and when I finish, I start the armory room decoration. Day 71, I continue placing stuff on the table in the armory room. Also right besides the ammo, I decided to place some guns for display. And for now, the armory is finished. Now on day 72, I took a look at Darius' stats, and as you can see, he has survived for 2 months, 13 days, and 3 hours. Which doesn't add up with my day counter. Whoops, might have skipped some days. So now let's skip to day 74, I guess. I didn't really do much today, I just did some chores around the base. Day 75, I went back to the city to get a previous car back that I lost. Let's just say it didn't go well. I got really tired from this, so I just walked home to sleep. Day 76, I do some more chores in the house. Day 77, I pedal back to the city. I was starting to run out of food and my weight was getting really low. Day 78, I fight some zombies in the darkness with a baseball bat and hotwire a car for myself. I drive it back home and park it inside. Day 79, I start off by reading in the library and train some reloading later. Day 80, I continue training. There will be a big fight coming up. I needed to get ready. So I start packing and preparing. Day 81, I drive off to the city. This isn't the big fight place that I was talking about, but I thought I could use some practice. Day 82 to 93, I do some working out, reloading practice, and sleeping. These 11 days of extra prep gave me so much needed weight and strength. Day 94, I knew I was ready. I take some guns, ammunition, and melee weapons. And in the morning of day 95, I head out. I have one task and one task only: clear out the Mojout police station. Day 97. After a long battle, it came out victorious, with clearing and looting the police station, and as a bonus, clearing the gas station. Days 98 and 99 were the same. I just practiced reloading and because I wanted to finish the challenge. And with that came day 100. This is Darius's stats. I know this wasn't the most interesting 100 days in terms of what I'm doing, but if you want a 200 days video where I would absolutely massacre every zombie, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.